We are back, friends. No sunglasses this time from Jordan. We're straight business. We are talking week 5 already, Jordan. It's crazy that we've already reached that point. We're leaking into the second quarter of the season. Cam Bynum talked about that after the win last night, or I guess Sunday afternoon. Just how crazy this week season's already flown by, but it's still only the first quarter of the season. There's still a lot of work left to be done for this football team. Jordan, the Vikings are making a what is turning into a somewhat regular trip to London twice in
Yeah.
3 years, which is, in my opinion, a little bit annoying. Maybe we can start there. How do you feel about this whole international series thing the NFL is doing?
I love the international games. I think it gives me something to do before I go to church on Sunday. And typically, I will take Sundays off from church and I'll say, guys, the Vikings play on this day. But we are doing an outreach program this weekend where I'm helping put a roof on a member of my congregation's house. So I will not be able to watch the game live on Sunday because I'll be on top of a roof putting shingles on. So
Stuff.
not good stuff. I'm very upset about it, and I'm trying to figure out a way I can. I know nobody from my church watches this; they're all Bengals and Bears fans, so I know that I'm not going to get yelled at for saying this. I'm trying to weasel my way out of it. I might pop a flu Saturday night so I can watch this Vikings game. This is special territory, Will. If I told you we were undefeated going to London, you would have told me I was smoking something. I mean, this is crazy. This is an absolutely crazy game, and the Jets look very beatable. That's what scares me. Let's get right into it. The Jets look very beatable. The defense looks good, but I mean, I don't know. Bo Nix in the absolute pouring rain was able to get a couple of things going against him, and he stinks. So I have confidence the Vikings offense should be able to move the ball against this defense. And alternatively, the Vikings defense has looked really good, and the Jets offense can't get anything together except against the Patriots, who stink. So that's kind of what scares me the most is how confident I am that we're going to win this game. It's the most confident I've been all season, I think, because I didn't know what we were going to get out of the Giants. I had no clue what anything would look like. And then it happened, and it just kept happening, and now I don't know what to expect. What has you frazzled about this game? At 8:30 for you. That's even. I see why it annoys you. It's 9:30 for me. What has you upset about this 8:30 stout time?
Honestly, the 8:30 start time doesn't worry me too much. It doesn't bother me. In all transparency, I tend to start watching the Vikings games about 45 minutes after they've started. So I rarely am watching them live.
That's
I
fair.
tend to, watch the kickoff in once the second quarter starts, basically, because noon Central Time is kids' lunchtime, kids' nap time, and it's just chaos. So, um, the 8:30 start time is going to be weird with church as well, so we'll have to figure that out. I personally, I can't speak from a European's perspective, or in this case, this year with the Brazil game to start the year from their perspective. You know, Europeans, South Americans, maybe they love this. They probably love, the NFL coming to their city. I'm not super thrilled about it. It's just it removes a home game from the Vikings, so they only get 8 in the year. They're supposed to get 9, and US Bank Stadium is a huge home field advantage.
Yeah.
So now you got to go play in a neutral site, literally 7 hours later in the day than you're used to. It just feels it's too money grabby to me. And I know the NFL is trying to promote the league and grow and expand. And we have some folks, or one actually two, one in Brazil actually, and one in Germany on our Vikings territory team, and they love it. They got to go to the games when the games are across the pond. So I can't say it's all bad for those reasons. You get these folks who get to go see games, but um, it's not. It seems a little bit like quote unquote unfair to the teams that have to go play there.
Yeah.
feels really unfair to the Jaguars who have to play like 2 games in London every year.
And they're gonna have to play
Poor
9
London
soon.
Knights have to watch them.
They're gonna go one
The
and
poor
16, and the NFL is gonna say, "Pull the trigger, Shad Khan, move them over there." Like,
yeah.
which it was a kind of interesting. I was listening to. They don't need the plug. I was listening to Popal Daily the other day, and they had someone on who is a Vikings fan from England or the UK. Or I don't really know how it works. I'm an American. I care about like cholesterol and stuff. But he was saying like even if the Jags move to London, everyone that is a football fan over there already has a team. So they're not going to switch up their team. They're just going to be like, okay, cool. They're not just going to become Jags fans. They are just like, those. And I'm not a big soccer guy, but like, there are people who follow the Premier League, and it's like, yeah, if the Premier League started a New York City franchise, the Americans who like the Premier League aren't going to be like, oh, NYCFC, baby, like we're all in on it. No, they're going to follow the team that they followed for the last handful of years plus, and they're going to go on that. So I thought it was an interesting conversation they had with him about, because it does feel like the NFL wants to become global. I don't know. There's like the Olympics with flag football now. Like, I don't know. Football, I love football, but it's kind of nice that it's just like an us thing. I don't know.
Yeah. We could spend a lot of time talking about this.
Yeah.
This game, to your point, I think, it's an interesting thing because anytime you play an inter-conference game where you're playing the AFC, it's just going to be funky. It's a team you don't know as well. Neutral site makes it extra weird. One thing I will say, I trust Kevin O'Connell to get his guys ready and prepared to play a game in a different continent more than I trust Robert Saleh. So I think that is a tick in the Vikings direction. I think that's positive for them. But it's just, you're still playing Aaron Rodgers, no matter how old and slow and gimpy and stiff he looks. I mean, watching that guy try and twirl out of the pocket is almost painful. Watching his ankles try and, it's just, he's still a very good thrower of the football, and he still throws a really pretty ball, as Colin Cowherd put it. But it's still just, he's not what he used to be, but he's still Aaron Rodgers. He's got something left in there. He's got some magic in there somewhere, so you never know. But to your point, it's not a great football team right now. So it's not necessarily that I feel either concerned about any particular matchup, because I think the Vikings match up fine. The way the Vikings are playing, they frankly match up with almost anybody fine right now. But it's just those weird elements of the continent, the location, just the differences that this game will present, and you got a Hall of Fame quarterback you're going against, so you never know what might happen. Do you have something in particular, Jordan, that you see from New York, the second New York team or New Jersey team they've played in 5 weeks, that maybe worries you a little bit? Or, I know you said you're really confident in the matchup, but what sort of maybe aspect or matchup that maybe worries you the most, if anything?
Yeah, I think it would have to be the way that Love was able to, I don't want to say expose the defense, but operate when given time. The Jets' offensive line has not been good, and that was how Denver kind of won that nasty game last weekend. Was they just flustered Rodgers. They kept getting to him. Rodgers is trying to get the ball out quick, underneath, intermediate. They're not really stretching the field very much. So it kind of freaks me out knowing like, oh, it's a veteran. So is B-Flow's, who's coming, who's dropping, who's, the mind games that he plays. Are you really going to be able to do that against a Super Bowl winning Hall of Fame bound QB like Aaron Rodgers? It just kind of concerns me because, I was concerned about how it was going to work against Stroud. And I shouldn't have been. Stroud's a second-year guy. He hasn't seen enough in this league to know, like, all the answers to all the questions. Rodgers has. And so the fact that, he's got Lazard, he's got Conklin, and he's got Wilson, it's not the scariest trio on the planet. but it is a trio that I think he trusts, and they're learning to play together really well. Lazard, obviously, with his previous experience in Green Bay. Wilson, seems they both like marijuana, so that they've instantly bonded over that. And then Conklin just being a somewhat dependable tight end who's learning, like, hey, Aaron Rodgers extends some plays sometimes. If I just kind of drift towards the side he's running to, I'll probably get the ball and I'll be able to, get 5 or 6 catches in a game or something like that. So when the offense works, it seems to work pretty well. So that's what really flusters me. But I think that leads me into one of my confidence things, which is their O-line's not very good, and the Vikings' strength is their front seven and their ability to get pressure. So, it was like 5 sacks, 5 sacks, 5 sacks. Then we had the 1 sack game last week against Green Bay. Feels like if you made me bet, I'd take 5+ sacks for the Vikings again. It feels like we're going to have that kind of a day. What gives you trouble about this Jets team specifically? And I hate to make you choose, but specifically, I want you to talk about the defense, because that's kind of what, when everyone said oh my gosh, Aaron Rodgers and the Jets, it was the last time he had a good defense, he won the Super Bowl. So talk about the Jets defense that's very, very highly touted and has played pretty well this season.
To me, it is the cornerbacks who are going to be willing to take risks, and that's DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner. Because you've got a quarterback, Sam Darnold, who you never know, he might be looking to try and prove something against his former team, the team that drafted him and sort of kicked his career into the curb for a while. And you never know. I the way Sam Darnold comes across is he's not someone who's trying to make up for, what happened in New York or anything like that. But you never know. There might be some hero ball moments like we talked about, and there might be some moments where he's trying to play a little too fast, or he's trying to make a little bit bigger of a play than he needs to, and so those are the things that maybe for a guy that has made some questionable decisions with the ball, trying to fit it into tight windows, etc. And before the season, I actually talked about this being the game where I actually picked the Vikings to lose this game preseason. That was before, we knew what the Vikings were at this point, because I felt this was going to be a bad Sam Darnold game, and in part because of the former team aspect, and I felt the Jets defense might give him some problems. So
I am all alone now. These technical difficulties are killing us. So we're going to do the end of the show a little bit differently. It's just going to be me talking for a minute, giving my score prediction and game ball. Will had actually a very solid, I thought, 2 minutes there, where he talked about, the Vikings being a pissed off team going to London, and how they were going to, really look good playing in this game. And unfortunately, all of that had to be cut because it was just, it was choppy, and the video and the audio were so out of sync and everything. I think it's just because this was a long recording night. So there's my, explanation for why we have to do this. But let's get into the result of this game and how we think it's going to play out. So we'll start with me. I'll do my game ball first. My game ball is going to the grandson of the GOAT, Dick Hammer. That is Sammy Hammy. We have said on this show, it is foolish for someone to not say the revenge game guy gets the game ball. So I'm going with Sam playing against the Jets, the team that just absolutely tainted his reputation as a QB in this league. I think O'Connell's going to be on a mission to make Sam look good. And Jets defense be damned. I think he's going to absolutely ball out in this one. I have the Vikings winning this game. The travel I do have playing into it. I have the Vikings winning this game 27-17. I have a 10-point victory, and if I hit that on the head, I can make up this 9-point difference that me and Will have on our total points off of the final score. So again, that is 27-17. I have the Vikings moving to 5-0. And my final thoughts are going to be absolutely, who thought that the Vikings were going to be in this situation? Well, we were talking about at worst going into the bye with a single loss on the ticket. Just an absolutely madness scenario, an absolutely crazy season so far, and I really hope they keep it up. They've got a tough stretch ahead. They're going to have to play Detroit twice. They're going to have to play Chicago, as Chicago's defense is balling out and Caleb Williams continues to get, just better and better. So, not saying it's an easy stretch, but I see 12 wins on this schedule now. I see 13, man, maybe 13 wins on this schedule. I'm drinking the purple Kool-Aid. I'm not going to pretend like I'm not. I didn't put the sunglasses on for the podcast audience, but YouTube audience, you see I'm just in my normal dad glasses, but I'm sipping on the Kool-Aid. I'm sipping on it real nice. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen come London. I'm excited to watch the game back, and I'm sure Will is also just as excited. And I have a feeling that we both are going to pick this to be a win. But I don't know, because I don't know what Will's prediction is going to be. So Will be up next. Guys, I'll talk to you guys next week. Hopefully we won't have so many technical difficulties, but thank you for bearing through it with us. Skull from Geraldine. Follow the show at LTB Vikings. Goodbye.
Again, audience, I apologize for the issues audio. I think it's probably my fault. I don't really know what's going on over here at my home. I can blame the Xfinity Wi-Fi. They won't be a sponsor anytime soon, I suppose. So for me, game ball, score prediction. For me, it's got to be Blake Cashman. He's a former New York Jet. He was drafted by the New York Jets. He played 3 years there. There's a thing that kind of goes on in this locker room that every time a player plays against their former team, they're going to get a game ball, especially if they have a big game. And that's been sort of a recurring theme for this team. Jonathan Grenard, huge game against Houston. Just like Jordan predicted, Sam Darnold's going to have a big game against his former team. Aaron Jones, really big game against the Packers last week. So Blake Cashman, he's going to get the game ball. He'll have a sack against Aaron Rodgers. Even if Aaron Rodgers and those short, quick passes he throws only allow for a sack or two, Blake Cashman's going to get one of them. And to me, I see this game playing out very similarly to how Jordan did. I think the offense is going to respond and rebound from sort of that bad showing in the second half in Green Bay. They're going to put up plenty of points. Similar to last time in London, it's going to be a weird score. Vikings 29, Jets 16. I don't think the Jets have enough offense. I think this defense is going to provide plenty of issues for New York's offense. The Jets have not been able to get going, and going up against a really stout, really formidable, really aggressive, and dare I say scary defense in the Vikings is not the get-right week that they need. Vikings 29, Jets 16, lots of field goals from Will Reichert, and it'll be just plenty. That's it. That's all, folks. We will be back next week. We'll recap this London game, the 8:30 start and everything, and we'll look ahead to a bye week. It's an early bye week this year. The Vikings opted to take the bye after the trip. As Kevin O'Connell said, some formidable opponents to start the season, and then this long trip back home. You want to take that time to rest, get right, and get ready for Detroit coming in here week 7. That's going to be a huge game with NFC North implications already on the line. He's Jordan. I'm Will. Skull y'all.